10-point loss to the Suns. And a short while ago, Frank Vogel spoke with Mike in the media.
Hey, Frank, was it important to you to have the starters play through and try to find something, try to get some kind of rhythm throughout that fourth quarter? And what did you see in that stretch?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we put it in there for. And, obviously they made a run. But that's a lineup that, we'll use throughout the year at times with, excuse me, we just call it a centerless lineup, without AD or a big. And, there's a lot a lot that goes into that style of play that we wanted to look at. And, obviously they made a run, so we let them rock.
Frank, we all saw what happened between Anthony and Dwight on the bench. We saw you get a technical. We saw Rondo get into it with the fan courtside. Were you disappointed with the team's sort of composure level on the whole tonight? And I guess, what do you think contributed to that?
I think there are three isolated situations. The fan slapped Rondo's hand. Like, that has nothing to do with our composure. Dwight and AD had a miscue on a coverage, and they talked it out. But, when you're getting your ass kicked, sometimes those conversations get heated. Those guys love each other. They talked it out, and that's going to happen from time to time. I'd rather our guys care, than not care. I got a tech because, reasons are obvious why I got a tech. Just leave it at that.
Hey, Frank. Through 2 games, you guys have been outscored by 38 points in the paint, compared to the other team. And I feel like that's a two-sided issue where you guys aren't getting to the paint, but also the opponent is getting to the paint. What have you kind of seen with just the paint?
Yeah, we're a step slow on our coverages, and we're working to get our guys up to speed, but we're not there yet. I'm disappointed in that, and we'll be better. Offensively, we're learning about our team. You know what I mean? And what it's going to take and what it's going to require for us to be the necessary basket attacking team that I think we can be. And, each game that we play, I learn a little bit more. But we got to finish at the rim. Usually when you get hit, go on the basket, the whistle blows. It didn't tonight on a lot of those situations. Missed, I think, over 12 layups. So we got to finish better, and there's some things we can do to correct that and become a better paint attacking team.
Frank, on those incidents that you mentioned, all isolated but all pretty notable and all on video in the time we live in, people will look at those a lot. They'll form an opinion about the state of this team. What do you think that those collectively say about where your team is kind of on its path?
Yeah, it says we want to be 2-0 and we're not. That's all it says. We got a good group of guys that like each other. Our process is really strong. And we got a good system on both sides of the ball. And
don't know what was said. Don't even want to guess, Rob, but obviously something.
No, we don't want to talk about it because right there, AD, and you see right there, they're still talking about it. AD's trying to explain his point, and Dwight Howard's like, yo, you probably said you didn't have to come at me like that, bro. Mm-hmm. But yeah. It's a certain way when you're trying to be a leader on a team and you're trying to show your dominance on a team, sometimes you get confused on how to do that. And a lot of times everybody's going to probably point the finger at Dwight Howard. But I think AD being the leader on this team, there's a certain way you handle things.
Yes.
And you sit down next to him and you talk to him in his ear, and you don't get him up and then you grab him. There's certain things because he's a grown man and you don't grab another grown man like that unless you in WWE or something like that, MMA. And I know this is frustrating for me because AD wasn't having the night he wanted to have. He shot poorly from the field, shot great from the free throw line, but poorly from the field. So we're not going to sit here and speculate because we don't know what was said, what was happening. But this is some things that just doesn't need to happen. They need to learn how to handle it the right way.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and as they were entering the half, it looked like they had chatted and talked. So don't go on Twitter and freak out and think the Lakers don't like each other and chemistry's bad. Yeah. Please don't panic like that. Allie and Rob do that before every single show. They're fine at the end of the day. But go ahead, James.
I was going to say the same thing, man. Sister-brother thing, boy, fighting like cats. I actually hope they have some more. I don't want to call it confrontation or whatever. But I hope that they have a couple more of those where they can, get in each other's face and shake off the dust, and because it happens. It happens usually in the locker room. I would say AD, Dwight's an older guy. He's been around. he's not some young kid that you could just run up to.
Yeah.
Rob's right. You don't embarrass a veteran like that. You sit down and say, hey, dog, can we talk about something? So, but I do like to see that they care and that they're starting to communicate, because it's frustrating what they're doing on the floor. So they're gonna have to figure it out. It's gonna take some honest conversation. And
listen, no one threw a towel in the coach's
face. A lot of looking in the window,
right, James? No one threw a towel in the coach's face.
Nothing's quite as exciting on the bench as that.
Yeah, no doubt.
You should be happy. I came here.
Believe me, it's one of the greatest moments in Suns history when you threw the towel in Danny Ainge's face.
Yeah, and you wonder if they talked about it already at halftime. Again, Dwight did not play in the second half. That surprised me a little bit.
They went small, right?
Yeah, no doubt. And maybe that is a little preview. AD at the 5. Maybe we will be seeing that sooner than later. Again, with this game in San Antonio in a couple days. Maybe Frank's like, all right, let's just see what it looks like. Yeah. And they played pretty well in that fourth quarter. Third quarter, though, not so well.
Yeah. Where do you guys see most of the struggles? I mean, listen, we can flip a coin, offense, defense, but when you watch that game, Rob, I think I was harping on defense. James talked a little about the offensive struggles. What's the first thing that pops into your mind?
I think them not scoring in the paint. That just bothered me, because when you look at the Phoenix
Suns, one thing we dominated for the last couple of years.
You look at the Phoenix Suns, they got one big, and for you to sit there, I forget, they got
JaVale.
two bigs, JaVale. For JaVale, if I told you JaVale McGee would outplay all of the Lakers bigs, you would say, I'm on something.
Right.
And that's what happened. Like, if you saw the energy JaVale played with, it was way better than what the Lakers provided out of all three of their big men. And they need to find a way to score in the paint. Like I said earlier, they get so enthralled about his three-point shot that they just want to shoot threes. And the game is simple. Go inside first, inside out. And for me, for AD to not dominate against a Crowder who has 5 inches on, I have a problem with that. Crowder is a good defensive player, but AD, you're a great offensive player. And there's no way he should put you in a position where you're shooting 25% for a game.
Yeah. If I were to see a game like this one tonight, and I see how we had nothing in the paint, we got one guy that can dominate the paint, and that's AD. I mean, DeAndre and Dwight, they get their lobs, which I don't think they got any tonight. But after a game tonight, if I were AD, I would live in that paint. I would start my first 10 shots would be in that paint, and I would get it and go quick. I would get it and take my time, make some willing passes. That's where it is. Out there, 12 feet, you're trying to, go one-on-one after no movement, shooting fadeaway jumpers, and, that's, you don't get, to me, I just think he's the guy. He's our 5. Nobody else is our 5. Yeah. He's the guy that needs to go down in there, get damn nasty, and do it every night until the teams just can't take it anymore. We know he can go out there and do all this, 15, 17 feet. But when you see the way you're being punked in the paint, someone's got to take care of that.
Yeah.
And, and he's the guy that's got to do it. It's just simple. It's not difficult. It's very simple.
I always say narratives are built early in the year. People will love that the Lakers are 0-2, but Frank, that staff, the players, they have to understand this journey and where you're starting and where you hope to go, Rob. And they cannot kind of fraction, and you can't listen to those narratives because it's a big part of it.
I'm going to say something James loves to say. You got to black out all the outside noise, because right now it's all about you. It's all about we. It's all about what we can do in this locker room, on this basketball court, to come together as a team and play great, because they have the potential to play great. They have spurts where you look at this team, you're like, wow. And then you have spurts where you look at the team and you go, wow. It's kind of, good and the bad and the ugly. But at the end of the day, they've all said this. They all said it's going to take some time for them to gel.
They did.
As Lakers fans, we used to win it. We don't want that. We want it now, because we used to win championships. So I'm not going to panic just yet. So I'm going to have a little patience.
I appreciate that.
I'm not going to panic.
And Rob, I know you don't like this part when I talk about this over the years, but there is a silver lining. The Lakers just played the second choice and the third choice in the West according to the Vegas odds makers. Here comes,
doesn't like this,
Here comes the schedule. Okay, here comes the relief.
Press, give me the relief.
Their next 7 games are going to be against teams not expected to make the playoffs. In there, you got 2 games against Houston, 2 against OKC. You face a rebuilding and very young San Antonio team in a couple days. Cleveland, what are they? I mean, they're a mishmash.
Press,
of
you
people.
telling me 7-3?
Well, you know, it's possible.
If it's 3-7, there's a problem. Right?
See, that's my point. Yeah, I mean, if we're playing like this against a Houston or an OKC,
all right,
then it's a little trouble.
You heard Brett. So we're going 7-3, everybody. All right, Magic Johnson tweeting in. Dwight Howard AD got into a physical altercation on the bench. In my 42 years of being associated with the Lakers organization, I've never seen something like that.
Not on the bench.
Not on the bench. That's exactly what Magic said.
Not on the bench.
Not on the bench. In the locker room, maybe.
Or in practice.
Yeah.
But not on the bench.
If this was an After Dark segment, I'd tell you one of my stories. But it's not After Dark.
Tell us at the commercial. Yeah, no, it was not a great moment, but...